G'day guys, Paul Morris here, V8 Supercar driver. You're watching Extreme.
G'day guys, it's Nigel here for Extreme Jobs. Now we're still at Indy, which means we've got a massively extreme job. It's being a V8 Supercar racer, and we've got Paul Morris here. How you going, Paul?
G'day Nige, how are you mate?
Not too bad at all. Now you've just finished a qualifying round here at Indy?
Yeah, it was pretty wet, so extremely wet.
It has been extremely wet, but I tell you what, more extreme is hurtling down a track that is very, very wet in a V8 Supercar. Now, how long have you been racing for, Paul?
I've been racing professionally for 20 years and about 5 years before that as an amateur at sort of club level motorsport.
Without making it sound too bad, what are the pitfalls for being in a racing job like you do?
Well, obviously there's a danger factor, and it says on the back of the ticket here, first thing it says, motor racing is dangerous, so you've got to take that into account, but it's a calculated risk, so that's really the only pitfall, is you might get hurt, or you could end up severely dead, but you could do that driving a bus or a taxi as well.
Got a point there. Now, being a V8 Supercar driver, how could you get into it if you're a kid that wants to become a V8 Supercar driver?
If I was a kid, you can start racing go-karts from the age of 8. So most capital cities and most provincial towns do have a go-kart club. So get down there and get into it, and then work your way from there.
Now, what's your favourite part of your job?
The favourite part is actually being in the car. It costs a lot of money to go racing, so you need sponsors, and the sponsors always want some time out of you, so that side of it's pretty demanding, but once you get in the car, pull the helmet on, that's the best. It's just you in the car and you can get down and do it.
It's always the politics, isn't it, that makes your job terrible. Now, what's probably the worst part of your job?
The worst part of the job is when something goes wrong. Like if you make a mistake as a driver and you have an accident and you damage the car pretty badly, it's a pretty hollow feeling. And in motorsport you have more downs than you do ups, so you've got to have wide shoulders and learn to cop that. But when it does come good, it's pretty rewarding.
Now guys, we're going to have a look around a V8 Supercar. It's Paul Morris's Supercar. Now, what can you tell us about your particular car?
Well, from the outside it probably looks pretty standard, but if you open up the door here and have a look at all the equipment in there, you'll see that there's nothing really like your normal road car. For a start off, we've got the roll cage, keeps the driver safe. The dash is customised, and the most obvious thing here is the driver cooling. That pumps fresh air into my helmet because there's a lot of fumes out in the track from the cars, and the driver needs to get good air into his helmet to breathe properly.
Now, what happens if that fails?
You just suck in a bit of bad air and it becomes uncomfortable. You might throw up a bit after the race, and that's about it. It's pretty important, especially at a place like this, because all the exhausts from the cars get trapped between the walls, and you really notice it around here. If you're following someone, you really need that.
What are the differences between this particular car as a V8 Supercar and if I had a V8 at home?
The car itself is a standard Commodore body shell, but it has about 400 hours of work go in it to make it a race car. And then all the suspension parts are handmade. They're not road car components. And same for the gearbox, the differential, and obviously the wheels are a fair bit wider and got a fair bit more grip. And the other thing's the aero kit. Front wing and the rear wing on the car, they combine about 500 kilos of downforce on the car at about 200 kilometres an hour, so that helps it stick to the road. As a race car goes, it's quite a heavy car, but it's got a fair bit of power under the bonnet as well. We've got sort of 650 horsepower, and your normal road-going V8 would have around the 200 mark.